So we had some interesting news come out of Atlanta. Trae Young versus Nate McMillan. Rehabbing the shoulder. Some quotes saying basically come off the bench or don't show up. So as not to show up. Trae Young's an interesting player, right? So we talked a lot about Luca, but we never really talk about his kind of his cousin or his stepbrother or whatever we frame it for their careers, right? Because they're the trade pieces and they're both having I guess ironically now similar careers. They've both taken their team to the conference finals and they put up very impressive stats and they make all-star teams. And we talk about Luca and he's amazing, but the issue is the usage rate, but then the team's not very good around him. And then we look at Trae Young and we say, oh, the usage rate, but the team is good around him. So I think the take that I want to get out here is Trae Young going to end up kind of similar to your take? Is he going to being a very productive player who doesn't do much, who doesn't have a lot of team success, has a lot of, I guess, polarizing seasons with people, coaches fired, teammates disgruntled, teammates who don't want to actually go and play with him. Are we looking at a player who is going to have a career of a Kyrie Irving, if not for LeBron, of course, a Ray Allen, if not for the Boston Big Three, uh, Dan Marley, if not for the Phoenix run, a Clyde Drexler, if not for that Houston team putting together. The point I'm trying to make here is that Trae Young probably isn't it on his own. I think if we had to pick between Luca and him, one can lead a team all the way, and it's not Trae. Is the Trae Young Atlanta experiment is it done? Is it done? I know it
Is
says
it
I'm not
done?
trying to
Is it
trade him.
done?
I promise you, I'm not trying to trade him. I'm
Okay.
not going to trade him.
You got so many layers here, man. You got so many layers here. Firstly, I guess we had a previous pod, and I proclaimed Luca will be the greatest of all time when we're said and done. Yeah, when his career is said and done, I said he's going to be greatest of all time. And unfortunately, Trae Young is not going to fall in that category. Not even going to be close. So I think it's always going to be unfair to compare Trae and Luca. And simply, let's pick the first point. They're two different body types. Luca is this body type that it's I'm not saying he's LeBron athletically, but he's got that sort of dominant size still. And because of his craftiness and his ability to sort of make those sort of unconventional shots and plays and his court vision and things like that, is what's making him such a generational sort of talent. Trae obviously is not that big. He's probably more comparable to Steph Curry. Yeah. But here's the thing. It's unfair to compare anyone with Steph Curry. That's the point, right? Steph Curry again is a generational talent that has multiple MVPs and rings now to put against his name. And if Trae Young, gets a ring at some point, or maybe gets a couple, I think it would be a highly successful career for Trae Young. I think the third point here is that he plays in Atlanta. Yeah, he plays in a small market. It's actually nice to see that they brought DeJounte Murray in, and now they're having a fair bit of success so far. I know you picked Atlanta to finish top six in the East. I did not have them top six in the East, but we'll see. It's still early days at this point. But I think at the end of the day, Trae Young's a very good player. But if anyone touted him as a franchise changing player solely by himself, I think they've clearly overhyped him and overrated him. And I think you've sort of ridden the media train a little bit on this dispute with Nate McMillan. I think they're sort of really, they've really brushed it off both parties themselves. And I don't think there's much in it. Again, and you should know this, yeah, we played basketball back in the day. Imagine all the little conversations we had behind closed doors at training sessions or in the huddles and words that were exchanged in a competitive nature. If all that got out, you might say, maybe I'm a bad teammate too. I don't know.
You're saying in personal conversations to stay personal. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying
Is
that
that
that's the point, right? A lot of these, even like the Draymond Jordan Poole incident, that sort of stuff. Then whoever leaked that footage, that sort of stuff. If there was never leaked footage, that would have been even swept further under the rug. Let's be clear. And
Mm.
a lot of things happen behind closed doors in a competitive, professional, even non-professional sort of environment when you're being competitive, trying to win games and earn minutes and so on and so forth. Yeah, and I think Trae Young, I think Trae Young's a great player, but look, unfortunately, he's not Steph Curry. He's definitely not Luka.
So you agree that he might be lost to the echelons of time as we progress his career, is what you're saying?
Look, I think the bigger one will be more because he plays in Atlanta. I think look, I mean, they if they can. I obviously pitched a trade earlier in one of our other takes about sending Clint Capella out, and obviously trying to give some of the younger players a bit of a run there. Capella's having a really good season so far, and still anchoring that sort of five spot. Okongwu has sort of not really seized the opportunity at this point yet. Jason Collins is back. Atlanta, might finish top six. They might miss that play-in bracket. They might, win a few rounds. I don't think anyone's saying they're going to go any further here. I don't know. Look, Trae Young. If you think about Steph Curry, you're talking about Trae Young might be a forgotten player. Okay, and you're thinking about Steph Curry. Steph Curry in the first few years, there was nothing special. Yeah, you could see there was something, maybe something there, but from a statistic point of view, and he had a lot of injuries at that point too. There was nothing special there. I think Trae Young, you talked about waiting on situations to change here. I think Trae Young, potentially, will have some significant years where he might be able to lead a team to a finals, maybe even capture a ring. But I think if you're talking about, say, Trae Young versus Bradley Beal, I think Atlanta definitely have a much better core in place and a much better front office to field a competitive team versus the Wizards have shown in the last sort of 10 years.
I concur.
Yo, this is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.